Listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Dr. Cody Sipe from the Functional Aging Institute. Glad to see all of you guys with us today, and I'm really excited to have Art McDermott with us again to talk about marketing to boomers. And Art and I were just chatting a little bit a few minutes ago about how, Dan and I for a number of years, we really struggled with getting fitness professionals just to even understand there's an opportunity there with this growing aging marketplace, and then really to understand that the growing aging boomer population has some distinct characteristics and some distinct differences that we need to consider in order to really be effective with this group. And that's why kind of at our upcoming Functional Aging Summit, we have so many sessions with so many experts on, the marketing and the sales piece of how to grow your business, because, I mean, that's huge. We can, obviously, we want people to be able to train the population very effectively. That's a big part of it, and so our functional aging specialist is designed to do that. But if you can't get clients, if you can't connect with them, you can't help them. You can't have the impact that you want to have in people's lives, and at the same time, you can't grow your business the way that you want to. So really excited to have Art McDermott here, and I'm just going to turn it over to him and let him talk a little bit about himself and share some insights into marketing to this population that is really going to help your business. Art?
Thank you, Cody. Appreciate that. I'm really excited to be back, and more importantly, I'm real excited to head out to Phoenix in a couple of weeks here and get out there for that, because that lineup you've got looks great, and I'm just real excited I was able to fit in there, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. So that's going to be the highlight of my June, I can tell you that. Besides the kids getting out of school and all. But what I want to do today was talk about, like you were saying, there's some subtle differences, and I'm seeing a lot of mistakes. And I think part of the marketing errors that we're seeing in a lot of trainers is they simply don't think through the population and what that population's been through, what connects with them. They're kind of treating everyone like a one-size-fits-all, which, as you know from marketing, is a huge mistake. It's got to be targeted. So let's jump into that. And first of all, let me kind of, for those people who don't know who the heck I am, I'm Art McDermott. I'm a certified strength coach, and just to show you, I kind of walked the walk. I was certified in 1985. I think that was the first year the National Strength and Conditioning Association ran an exam, and I jumped right on it. So that's been a long time. And I'm a certified nutritionist, fitness business owner, but more importantly, I am 53. I'll be 54 in November, so I am the baby boomer. I'm kind of the tail edge. I think it actually goes down if you're 48 now, you technically belong in that categorization. My story, very briefly, is I've owned multiple facilities over the years, all in the Northeast. I'm about 20 miles north of Boston. As you can see, I own a Poliquin Performance Center. I work with Charles Poliquin, and then currently just sold last year Matrix Strength and Fitness is the fourth facility that I ran. And along the way, I was very fortunate to work with some of the best technical minds in the industry. And I emphasize that because what I did not have is any kind of background in marketing. So I felt like I was really technically strong. I mean, as strong as anyone in the industry for what I wanted to do. But marketing, not so much. And it proved to be a downfall down the road. Most trainers would do rather just about anything on the planet except for marketing. So it can be really frustrating. This is what I ran into. You can have all the technical skills in the world, but nobody knows about you. It's kind of that E-Myth, Michael Gerber, classic cliche of being the technician without somebody there with the business skills, marketing skills that get you to the next level. Kind of like, oh, if I build this awesome facility with this great equipment and the racks and everything, they will come. Clients will just come, right? Because it's awesome, and I know what I'm doing. But it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. I mean, word of mouth is great, and your reputation is great, but that's not a marketing plan. So as I got older and a little wiser, I was really motivated to work with my peers. I started, the older population started showing me, like, wait a second. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is not appropriate for this guy who just came in today, and I know it's not. So I'm going to retarget, rethink about who I'm focusing on here, because I'm 50 in my 50s now, and I know I can't certainly do some of the stuff that the 25-year-olds I had on staff could do. I'm just not that guy anymore. And I didn't see out there, and this is not an insult to any of the well-known group training facilities out there right now. I don't feel a lot of people my age have viable options. Safe, good, really targeted alternatives. So let's talk about this population. That's me. All right, we all know the baby boomer numbers. We don't need to reiterate how many there are, et cetera. But the challenge is that if you don't get them, like Cody was saying, like you're saying, if you don't get them, then they're gone. They're out of there. They're going to go to find somebody who will get them. Because I'm going to say we. I say prospects. I say 50-year-olds. But I'm going to talk about we. We're not going to be treated like 20 and 30-year-olds. Okay, so the first question I ask people when I work with them to implement marketing in their facility is, well, what's the first thing you convey on your website and your advertising imagery? What is it? Are you showing a 20-year-old female with really good abs or some guy who's just shredded? It's like, well, guess what? You just lost me. I mean, I'm a fitness guy. I'm really not particularly interested in having shredded abs because I know the work involved and I know what I need to do. I know my priorities, and that's just not my priority. Now, the other side of that, and I'm sure Cody, you can attest to this. We do see ourselves as a lot younger than we actually are. I mean, I don't know if you see that a lot in your practice, but my visualization of myself, for example, is, and all this is proven in the studies, that we see ourselves as 10, 15 younger than we actually are. Do you see that a lot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even in the surveys that you mentioned, people age 65, would view themselves as 15 years younger, and they also see old age as being 15 years older. So they're 65, they think old is 80, but they think they're 50, right? They view them, so that's a 30-year gap, So
Right.
they definitely are like, well, I'm never going to feel old, right? I don't ever want to feel old, but I understand my body isn't 20 years old anymore, right? Just like you talked about. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's really, and that's a lot of the times I see this is the first disconnect that trainers will do. They project an image on their site and through their advertising of imagery that immediately puts off the baby boomer crowd. So you're not going to, first of all, you've said right up front, I really don't understand your imagery. And then if they go on to look at your services, what do you provide? If the only thing you have right now is a boot camp, for example, or maybe a high-intensity boot camp, and don't get me wrong, very effective for weight management, fitness levels, you name it. Interval training programs obviously been proven, but that's not maybe the appropriate answer for this crowd. Small group training with the right assessments, having modifications, regressions, progressions for all of your movements, balance and mobility programs. Do you have a balance and mobility program in your services? If you don't, then you might want to take a real look at that, and that's obviously where I defer to you guys, and some of in your certification is going to help you do that. And you need recovery strategies. I know a lot of facilities that will implement a recovery week to help their clients over 50 recover. They'll push a little bit and back off, push and back off. Where the 20-something might be let's go, go, go. We're simply not capable of it. Although now here again we're full of contradictions, all this 50-plus crowd. We are far more active than the previous generation. My parents and their parents before them, when they're 55, 60, had a different image of what they're going to do, how they're going to retire, the whole thing. Fully expect to live longer, I'm going to play longer, and I need to stay healthy. Maybe I'll go back to master's track and field, I'm going to take up rowing, I'm going to do whatever it is, and I'm going to be looking for a higher quality of life along the journey. So this is the opportunity for trainers right here. And notice even in this right here, it's not about I want to get bigger shoulders, I want to have abs, I want to have these strong looking glutes or whatever, like that. It's all about feeling. It's all about quality of life, expectations. It's different verbiage than you're maybe used to seeing with existing clients.
Yeah, this is so
here's
true.
some do's and don'ts when dealing with my generation. Now, some of these might seem obvious, but we've all kind of heard horror stories of how trainers maybe conduct themselves in what should be a professional setting. This is coming from a great book called Boomer Consumer by Thornhill and Martin, and there's a lot of really good information out there right now. And believe me, I've read through it all to really help you connect with this group. Number one, don't use humor that makes fun of older people. We do not appreciate. I remember the first time somebody in my own gym called me the old man. I was like, what?
Did you beat him up?
Thoughts run through my head that I didn't verbalize. But you may have seen that car commercial. I think it's a Geico ad with a say, well, I unfriend you, and this is look at my wall, and is making fun of this older woman who didn't get it, and she's putting pictures of people literally taping them to her wall. We find no humor in that, and AARP really actually on that specific commercial really went off on it. They said, this, do you think this is funny? Do you think that's going to get you customers in our generation? You just insulted the biggest market you have. So things like that people maybe not think of. And here's the other distinction I guess you really need to make is we don't think of staying young forever. Like, I'm not trying to be 30 anymore. I'm not trying to squat 500 pounds for reps. I'm not trying to, bench this and, but I do want to remake what it means to be in my 50s. Okay, so this is going to impact the goals you set. It's more about mobility and balance and muscle mass retention and all those important things that we need, because we're not trying to be 30. We know that. We know those days are gone, kind of thing. But it doesn't mean we're going to be dormant and sedentary by any stretch. And this is an important one too. Avoid negative messaging. Older consumers are likely to ignore headlines and visuals that are negative. Don't miss our big sale versus, feel free to call today. It's two different, it's subtle and it's important. It's older consumers are going to bypass, they will overlook negative messaging. And going along with that, avoiding hype. Because guess what? We've seen it before. You're probably not the best workout ever, the hardest, the fastest. Avoid superlatives and hype, because we have seen it before, and we're very, very leery when we see communication like that. We're like, right away it raises the walls and raises the antenna saying there's a problem here, because we know you're not the greatest thing ever. We've seen it all. That's kind of the, if you visualize maybe somebody with a little crotchety old guy saying, hey, don't tell me you're the greatest ever. We know better. Okay, very, very little bit of skepticism mixed in there with the verbiage that might work with younger people. Even more important, stay away from fear. Are you worried about losing your independence? Independence, by the way, is one of the biggest fears of older clients. Is as we age, as we get to the 60s and 70s, losing your independence is arguably the number one fear. Scaring older consumers will not lead to action. You are going to drive them away quick as anything. Now, this may fly in the face of some, email marketing basics that you may have read. This guy says, oh, you have to create, scarcity, and you have to create, fear, a little bit of fear, play upon their biggest pain point, all that kind of thing. Not as much with boomers. So consider that if you've done a lot of email marketing courses and things like that that say to play upon those fears, you might want to take that with a grain of salt with this particular population. That's we going. And so kind of the big summary is you don't want to focus on what's wrong or needs help because I'm getting older, right? Focus on the benefits and the rewards of your product and service. So inspire, don't try to fix. Inspire is more emotion. Fix meaning, oh, we're going to make sure your shoulder feels better. You will through the course of the program, but guess what we want to do? We want to feel better every day. We just want to feel better. Have more mobility and independence. It's all about a quality of life issue, which is moving away in imagery from, I want my bench press to go up. That's simply not relevant to me. But if you're a 20 or 30-something trainer, that's maybe how you think. Hey, I want some abs. I want to look good at the beach, and that's maybe not our interest. So be aware of that. So how are you communicating with us, them, the boomers, all right, the over 50? As I said, emotion versus facts. They're not interested. Don't list out the facts of, you're going to lose this, or you're going to gain that. You can do the exact pounds, ounces, and things. We're going to improve your bench press. We're going to get you to 20 push-ups. But, it's like, hey, wouldn't you rather feel better about going out on the water in the boat and the sailboat and being able to, hang out with your grandchildren and hold them, and it's all about the mental imagery. And a lot of these ads now, they've done testing where they'll show an advertisement for an assisted living facility, and one will show a grandmother with her granddaughter, and the other shows, a piggy bank because you can save money and you go to this assisted living facility. Now below, all the facts of the ad were identical, but one of them conveyed an image, an emotion, and a storytelling, the next point there, storytelling kind of feel. And that's what you're going to identify with, not your listing of facts. All right, so storytelling and demonstrating. Show me what you're going to do for me. Don't tell me that you're going to do this, this, and this. That's great. Show me and make it part of my psyche. That there's a marketing expression. You want to enter the conversation that's already going on in your client's head. Well, you want to tell an open-ended story, so what boomers will do is they'll put themselves into that story. They'll fill in their own details, but create that imagery about, this quality of life and being able to be active and what that means to be active. Well, that means I can hang out with my friends longer, I can do this, all these things that are important, and events and feelings that are important rather than facts. And, obviously make it relevant.
I would probably go into that even a little bit more detail, because it's kind of some of the stuff I've read, is kind of this whole brain marketing approach, and which you need both aspects. You need the emotion and the facts, right? You need both of those, because
right.
Boomers have been inundated. I mean, they are kind of the advertising marketing generation, as everybody's focused on them for so long. So they've been inundated with all these, cheesy marketing messages, and you name it. But so the way they kind of triage the message is, if you can connect with them emotionally, you basically earn the right to give them the facts. But you can't have one and just the other, right? Because you still want the facts, right? You still want all the facts, but you've got to connect with me first in order to get me to want to then read your facts. So they go hand in hand.
Exactly. Pull me in with the emotion, and then tell me what I need to know.
Yeah.
But you show that you get me first.
Yeah.
Exactly. And here's an important one. The last point on this screen here is: are you seeing and meeting them where they're hanging out? And it's amazing some of the facts that you come up with. I mean, can you guess, maybe Cody, if I throw this out there, some of these listeners may know, what's the number one hobby of people over 50 and the 60 plus population as well? It's gardening.
Yep.
Yep. And travel sites and wine and fine dining, and on Facebook. They are the largest growing group on Facebook of all population groups. So that's why Facebook marketing is so important now. And you're going to see them involved much more so than younger populations with civic groups like Rotary clubs and Lions clubs and town senior centers, 55 plus communities, obviously. So you got to go to the places that they're going. And one of the recommendations was Whole Foods, for example, because they're paying much more attention to this type of thing. And an interesting one was, upscale, because let's face it, this population holds the majority of wealth in the United States. Mm-hmm. Upscale and new and used cars places. These are opportunities for joint venture type things for your marketing, speaking, and I go into a lot of details about that. But speaking is one of my huge recommendations for getting in front of the right people. In the industry, we talked about this before, about positioning yourself as an authority through speaking and presenting. So it's finding out where they're hanging out, and there's plenty of information out there that I actually sum up for a lot of people, and what I'm doing right now, and my assistance that I've given to trainers is making sure they're going to the right places to find their clients, And we'll talk a little bit about, how your business is looking. Do you have some of these things in place? For example, social media. We talked about Facebook. Email marketing. Younger populations are getting away from email, and they're all texting and IM and Instagram, and there's just different applications. And so here's the questions I read on this. Below the title there, it says, who is the fastest group of social media users? We answer that. Who's direct mail? All right, there's one population that still reads it, and that's the baby boomers. They're the ones who read direct mail. They'll read a long-form sales letter. They will pick up and read letters, and they still write letters. Who's inclined to follow through on a sales funnel that you might have started? You might have started your funnel through a newspaper insert. Well, who reads the newspaper? It's the 55-plus community. So it's little subtle things like that that you need to be aware of where you can find these people. And so you need to, when you do all these, when you get a targeted marketing plan, rather than the shotgun effect, one size fits all, we talked about it, you can't do that, it's got to be targeted. You need to take advantage of events, verbiage, and occasions that are important to boomers. You need to address situations in the boomers' lives that are important, what their limitations are, what their schedules are like. As you know, Cody, a lot of these people out there, they're multi-generational. They've got maybe or kids in middle school, high school, and or college, or all of the above, and they're in the middle. They're taking care of multiple generations. So you got to be aware of that. If you say, oh, you're 60, you got all the time in the world, and really, then you don't know what my life is like. So those things like that, you need to be aware of the unique situations. And I think that you actually went into pretty good detail, great detail on those four. I've never seen your videos on the types of populations that there are boomers and understanding who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's part of the opportunity is it's such a diverse group. I mean, for one, to have an 18-year spread, obviously people are not going to be the same. I mean, you're just generationally, you're not the same as somebody who's a leading edge boomer, the oldest boomers. I mean, well, that's just different for one, but two is just the population is just so diverse as far as interests go, and obviously health and fitness experience, all that sort of stuff. I mean, I tell people, look, you can go into a CrossFit and you're going to find boomers and seniors, right? There'll be some in there. But does that mean they've really done a good job of hitting the bulk of the population? Just because you have some doesn't mean you're good at getting them, right?
Right.
Because they are so diverse. So I think the big opportunity are kind of that middle population of boomers who are left out of the typical fitness marketplace. But even then within that, you have the people who are in that sandwich situation. You do have singles, single agains, and marrieds, and I mean, people working and not working, and early retirement, traditional retirement. I mean, it's just all over the place. So just to lump everybody together is just a huge mistake.
Right. And to back up your point about the CrossFit example, and yes, you can always say, I think everyone knows one, right? That one guy who is a CrossFit machine. He's 52 and he's just built like a brick, and he's just in great shape. He can kick ass in those workouts, and that's all awesome. But my point is, do you want to count on being that one guy? That one guy is not going to make your business. What's going to make your business is the other 99%, 99% of the 50-year-old population. So you can't count on marketing or pulling in that one guy. That's because that's the exception, not the rule. And it's simply not to focus on that would be a huge mistake. And when I talk about verbiage here, I go into this quite a bit actually down the road in other ways, but you want to talk about things like this: ad copy, your sales copy. If you're writing a flyer, you're writing an email, you're writing something like that. You want to focus on terms like this. It's like mental sharpness, wisdom, generosity. It's mindfulness, and some of these different type of terminology. Anti-aging is obviously huge. Proven in sophistication, and these are terms that an older demographic is going to reply to. Independence, like I said, mindfulness, caring, openness to new experiences. And I'm reading this list. These are things that have shown to get more of an emotional visual reaction from boomers than shredded and those other kind of younger terms. Quality, specialty, culture, things like that. It's just a different verbiage that you need to, like limited edition and things like that are going to be less hypey, less salesy, but more terms that boomers can certainly identify with. And here's one we've talked about. This might be a lot on the slide. probably one of the most important point to come away with is being positioned as an authority. If you don't have the trust of the baby boomer crowd, you're dead in the water. You need to have their trust, and you need to be viewed as the source for information. We want access to information. If you look at some of the most visited sites by baby boomers, it's all information. A lot of it's medical, a lot of it's health related, fitness related. If you are not appearing there to them, you know, as a position of authority, then you've got a problem. That's need to focus on from the get-go. Boomers respect authority. We, unlike some maybe younger generations which have less respect for authority, and this is not a judgment or anything. I'm just saying it's a cultural trend. Boomers respect authority. If you're positioned this way, you will have the raving fans for life. And through in a heartbeat. In fact, I just read a great study that said one of the cognitive skills that increases with age and doesn't peak until late 40s to 50s is the ability to discern emotion from people's facial expressions. That's meaning if I'm looking at you, I can tell much more so than somebody who's younger and maybe has less experience dealing with people. I could tell what you're thinking, whether you're telling me the truth, what your intentions are, things like that. So that's an important thing to know. You're not gonna throw a lot of BS our way and go, okay, well, let me sign up. You need to know your stuff. And then once you do, that bottom line, we will refer clients to you like crazy. Once we find somebody we know, it's like knowing that neighborhood mechanic. Once you have that guy, you're going to send everybody there, right? Because a lot of people can't don't know what they're doing. And you know who you are, you position yourself as an authority, I'll send everyone there. And it's much more so than younger clients. Younger clients maybe who they don't older people get how business works. They know that you grow by referral, so they're happy to do it. And much more so than a younger client will be. So now all of this kind of takes study, right? How do you, where to find boomers, online, offline, how do you take them offline to online and vice versa? What messages do they respond to? What are their interests? All this kind of stuff. And how do you make it all work together? Put this marketing plan together and still run your business. It is a lot of demand. I mean, I found myself at my facility spending so much time doing the marketing that eventually I got away from the training floor entirely. I just focused on this because first of all, I found it interesting, and I found testing messages and all this kind of thing works. I start doing that all the time now. That's probably not going to be an option for you in the real world to just sit back, stop training people, and do all the marketing. So if I put something together, and I won't belabor too much, but I've developed a solution where trainers that are using in the field right now to promote their business through all of these avenues, all the email, social, direct mail, the sales funnels. It's called the Ultimate Client Attractions Marketing System. And I'm going to be definitely out there in Phoenix talking about it a little more detail. But what it is just my way of putting together this Facebook advertising, email marketing, direct mail, because some people they're not graphics artists either. You're going to go out and study graphic artists to put a postcard together. It's just not that straightforward, and who has time for it? What's working really well, frankly, Cody, is the sales, because I this message from me to you, and I'll send you this free report that covered A, B, and C. Well, I obviously had the right message. I'm appealing to the right audience. And that's the start of the sales funnel. That led to the call, that led to my mailing to them, that led to my follow-up, that led to the appointment, that led to them signing up. So and the boomers are much more inclined to do that kind of thing if they position you that way. So I put together all the action plans, spell it out. Step 1, do this. Step 1, type in that, that kind of thing. And I made sure that the sales copy is boomer specific. And that's meaning that, like I just said with all the verbiage there, this is what they respond to, you know. And a lot of people, right up there with marketing, a lot of trainers hate sales. You know, people, trainers just want to train people. They just want to show you what they know, and it's great. And there's some hugely popular, the availability of information, the opportunities to increase your technical knowledge are so vast that trainers are great with that, but not so good on learning how to do sales. And that's, you know, you're kind of dead in the water if you really are afraid of sales. So I made it easy. I just read out, this is what you say. Hello, Mrs. Smith, blah, blah, blah. And write that literally to that degree where it's telling you exactly what to say and how to respond to objections, things like that. And I thought my quote in there, plug and play, close quotes, you know, templates for each. You know, I wrote the email copy. You know, I wrote the Facebook ads. You know, I wrote the FSI, the freestanding insert copy. All of this is written for you, you know. And what I decided to do to make it easier and help people get started was, and I haven't said this to you guys yet, but I'm going to provide, you know, startup phone and email support. That I'll get on the phone with you as I have with my current clients and coaching clients to help you walk through how to do this stuff. You know, what's your first priority? You know, well, what's your market? What are you already doing? What's, you know, what are you good at? What are you bad at? And we'll play to your strengths, and then figure out how to put your plan together. Now, normally it's $197. That's what I sell it for right now. Today on the webinar, it's going to be $147. So it's $50 less because of you're here bettering yourself with Deanna and Cody here, and I can identify that, believe me, completely. So I wanted to do that and make sure that you feel comfortable as well. 100%, you know, obviously a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee, and I wanted to do what's called what I call an ROI guarantee, return on your investment. Okay, you use it for a year. You know, show me that you got nothing from it, and a year from now, I'm happy to give you money back. I mean, I just want you to succeed. I want you to really speak the language of the people we're talking about here. So, and Cody, this is brand new. I didn't even tell Dan about this one, but since I was heading out there, I wanted to come up with a little bit of Functional Aging Institute Summit surprise. So, for the people on this call, this is the first time anyone's seen it. I haven't sent any emails out about this. I want to offer a free 30-minute phone consult. Okay, I'm going to limit it to 25 people, you know, people who get on there. I obviously can't spend my summer on the phone, but my purpose is going to be to determine your primary action item for marketing your business. I'll help you pin that down, obviously tailored to the boomers. I mean, you know, I can't be too general. I want to specifically tailor to the baby boomer market. But if you email Cody and Dan, or if they, and then certainly have my contact directly, the first 25, I'll get on the phone with you, and we'll walk through your issues, your concerns, you know, what you really want to do, that kind of thing. And we'll walk away. The purpose of the call is to give you some primary action items to go forward with. The other thing I'm doing out there when I join you guys in Phoenix is I'm putting together, and I've read part of that information to you. I worked it into the call today, but I'm putting together a boomer marketing checklist, kind of a table reference, if you will. I want this to serve as a reference when you're speaking to, calling, or writing to clients over age 50 to make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're not mistakenly, without your knowledge, turning these people off. You know, because if that happens, you know, it's a problem. Obviously, you lose the client, you've lost your time, you've lost, you know, your money, whatever it was in the advertising, and you could be doing it without even realizing it. So I wanted to give this to you, the people who can email me. All right, this is I designed this solely for the summit, but the people who are online right now, I will make that available to you, and I'm happy to do it. And I'm still putting my final, you know, crossing my T's and dotting my I's on it, so it'll take me a few days, but I'll get that to you. But I wanted to do that only for the people on this call because I can appreciate the efforts you're making to make yourself better at dealing with my population.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And any resources are good. You know, there's so many, you know, boomer marketing books and surveys and research that, you know, that we read to stay really in depth and in touch with the population. But, you know, when you're a trainer, you can't do that. You know,
Right.
you can't spend hours and hours and hours culling through information, especially if it's high level marketing material. And nobody wants to read that kind of thing. So this is a great way to kind of to get it boiled down to the nuts and bolts and kind of the action items for what do I need to do. And I'll tell you, I mean, I'll tell people I've spent the last, 3, 4 years learning how to write copy, and both sales copy, in marketing emails, and it's not easy. And it was compounded by the fact that all these people I was learning email marketing from, especially in fitness, knew nothing about the differences with the boomer population. So
Right.
I was always having to filter, all that information. Like you talk about the fear, and really focusing on the fear. Well, that's kind of a big thing in the sales copy, right? Is really find out that fear and just really kind of push on it and make it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And and in
Drive a
fact,
knife into it. Yeah.
that's right. In fact, when we still have this copy up on our webpage that, for an online product, fitness product program for an older consumer, and there was some fear-based tactics that were put in there that I was against, but kind of ended up just putting in there because that's what was being recommended, by these experts, and we're getting to revamp the whole thing, and we're taking all that negative language and negative stuff out because I knew in my heart at the time, this isn't going to be as effective as it could be. So
Right.
you have to filter all that. So having somebody who's filtered all that kind of for you, especially for all of us that hate marketing anyway and just want to train people, is just
Right.
fabulous. So I
Right.
appreciate that. Now, I did get a
Yeah.
question from one of the people on the call, said they're a health coach, not necessarily a personal trainer. And so how might this product be for them? How might it help them?
Well, I don't. I think it's really just tailoring the message, and this is what I do is I've had a couple of people, obviously purchases the product that I got on the phone with, and saying, listen, I'm in this type of population. I really work with this type of crowd, and I tailor it to that. But the health coach, a lot of the materials, a lot of the templates that are in the product don't specifically say, this is for your small group training session, and this is how we're going to do it. It's not really like that. So a health coach type of occupation is going to plug into this really easily because it's really about the marketing. It's not about the service,
Right. Yeah.
necessarily. It's about the marketing and how do I get perimenopausal female. She's 56. She's 20 pounds overweight. How does she respond to you? How do you get her to respond to you? Because you can help her. As a health coach, it's perfect. They need, a lot of this population needs health coaching as much as they need, if not more so, than training. Honestly, a lot of them aren't going to, maybe they won't respond to the type of training you offer, but as a health coach, absolutely, because there's so many other aspects that you bring to the table with nutrition and the psychological side and stress reduction. I mean, everything that goes along with health coaching that this is about getting the right population to respond to your marketing, and the service you're providing is really a kind of the plug-in part.
Right. Yeah.
So it can be training, it can be someone who strictly focuses on a nutritionist, for example. Health coach is a little broader, of course, broader array of services. But yeah, it's really the marketing message, not necessarily the service underneath that the product focuses on.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I was talking to one of our upcoming speakers at our summit, Dr. Alexis Abramson, and she's
Mm-hmm.
really a foremost gerontologist, kind of world renowned. But where she's really focused is helping companies understand the market so they can better position their products and services and whatever to reach them. So coming at it from that angle, and we were having a conversation about kind of in the health and fitness world in general, how just there's it's so many of the same concepts, whatever industry you're in, apply. You just have to know how to tailor it to your particular industry.
Right.
And so the key is understanding what makes their heart beat, what's really at the core, what are the values, how do you connect with them, and then kind of like you said, then the rest is kind of plug and play for your industry such as fitness and for that particular segment of the population that you're going after, right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
as I'm mentally going through my head right now of all the deliverables I have in the product, I don't, there's no point to really say, oh, this is specifically want to do on workout 1, workout 2. So you don't ever want to, narrow it down or niche it down so much that you're talking about a workout specifically, and then therefore you can apply that deliverable to anything else. So it is all about creating an image and a message that clicks with the population you're trying to bring in.
So looking kind of at your kind of experience with, working with fitness professionals,
Hmm.
how kind of, if somebody's kind of coming in, they understand the opportunity, they're interested in, the population and maybe even a specific group in the population. What's kind of the general time frame, right? Like if somebody says, okay, I want to do the blueprint right now. What's kind
Right.
of the time frame for, you know, get kind of working through the material, kind of getting started, rolling out some of these programs? Is it kind of a 30-day process to kind of get going, a 60-day process?
Yeah, perfect question. That's a really good question because some people will look at a product like this and kind of be overwhelmed because what they don't need is five more modules with the problems on their to-do list. What they want is, where do I start? And the first thing I do when I get on the phone with somebody is say, number one, we pin down your message. What are you saying? What does your website say? What is your marketing already saying? Because once we pin down your message, then you can jump ahead and do something else. For example, if you don't have your message correct, then why would you go and do a direct mail piece that's going to cost you money, cost you considerable money, and you could be
Yep.
throwing that out if you're saying the wrong things. So what I advise people to do is start with their email marketing because obviously it's the least expensive approach. And then you move on to Facebook. Once you get a response, oh boy, that got a great, they got an open rate of this, and I got called this many calls. I said, okay, that worked. That message worked. Let's take that because of who you are. Because if you have their email, they probably already know you, so you have a certain image already with them. Now you need to match you with the population and the message. So once you get that right, then you can apply it to the more elaborate methods in the blueprint. For example, the next step I would go would be to Facebook, and because you can control that, you can spend $5 a day or 500, but without the right message, you're just throwing that money away. Facebook will be happy to take your money, whether your message is right or wrong. So starting by getting your verbiage right and having that click, and then you move on. For example, probably arguably the most costly approach is direct mail, which is unfortunate. Trainers get put off by that because there's a cost, but they don't realize that if you get one client, you keep them for a month or two, you're all set. You paid for the whole thing. One personal training client for 2 months at the minimum. Probably sooner, and you're paid for. So as far as to answer your question about the time frame, because of the speed of marketing cycles now with email and Facebook, it's pretty
Yeah.
immediate. For example, the program I have an option that goes along with the blueprint where I help people with all this. I do the copy editing for them and work with them on the imagery and all of this. And I say it's up to 45 days. So that's the max it should take to really get a nice program in place and a solid, responsive marketing program that's getting feedback and pulling in prospects.
Yeah.
And really, I don't see it taking much longer than that. I can work with people if they do, but I would put a ballpark of 30 to 45 days to be able to see a return. You see the inquiries going up. You see the contracts and the packages being sold. That's because of the speed of the internet now. That's roughly what I'm seeing, and that seems to be very effective.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it is a multi-layered approach. When we first started, we started with a lot of mistakes in our, fitness business, and we understood kind of the population, but kind of like you, man, we really didn't know how to set up our marketing the right way and get our sales funnels going, and it was a little overwhelming at first. So it's good to kind of have all these templates to go by, so that you can then learn how to do it. Once you have some templates and see success, then you can start to build on that and move forward. And we've got about
Right.
3,500 people on our local email list, and we only maintain about 500 clients. But what's interesting is we will have people on our email list for a year or 2 years before they finally come in and join. And it's because we've continued to build value and communicate with them over a long period of time. Now, some people they're going to respond right away, but having that continuity there really increases our long-term success. It continues to draw in people more and more.
Right.
Well, Art, I really appreciate all the great info that you've shared with us today, and I know it's been helpful for everyone. So I want to encourage you guys. I shared the link in the chat box that he's showing on the screen so that you can copy and paste that if you want to link to the special discount for today. And I had somebody ask about the event that we have coming up that Art was referring to, and that is our Functional Aging Summit. It's our first ever conference that we're holding. It's in Phoenix on June 12th and 13th. If you'd like some information about that and see the incredible lineup of speakers that we have, go to functionalaginginstitute.com, and right at the top you'll see a banner for the Functional Aging Summit. You can click on that and see all the speakers and the schedule and everything that's going on there.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait to get out there. Like I said, it looks like a great one. I'm very excited about it, and I've been plugging it everywhere I go because if you really want to be perceived as the expert, I mean, you look at that lineup you've got, and that's going to just catapult you right up there. It's going to really, it's going to take a lot of time off that learning curve for sure with this population.
yeah, and I tell you, we feel confident we can say that this is an industry changing event because I'm telling you, nobody has really hit this area, these boomers for the fitness industry, and really brought in so many incredible experts to talk about so many different facets of how to grow your business and how to serve more people. You give good things out there, right? You help people, you improve their lives. Right, you're going to grow your business, and we're excited about both of those. So, thank you all for getting on with this, and thank you again, Art. Please get in touch with us if you have any questions, and this recording will also be
All
available.
right, my pleasure. Great talking to you again.
All
We'll
right,
see you
thank you.
soon.